Hi, in this video I'm just going to quickly show you some of the parts of the Tron build case that I did, and also answer a couple of questions that have been asked on YouTube and Facebook. So first of all, this is the case with pretty much all the lighting on in the complete darkness, and then that's with the outer lighting turned off, the wire lighting. Well, the wire lighting and the EL tape is all on a separate control, so they can be turned on and off individually. And then it's also got internal RGB strip as well, which is controlled by remote control. So that's the internal lighting, which obviously with the RGB control you've got a full range of colours that you can pick from. I quite like the white one. Now, not too sure if it will show up too well on the video, but one of the things I wanted to show today was mainly this bottom panel here, which it has some of the sponsor logos there, some of the people who's provided parts for this build. It's very difficult behind this Perspex panel to get a nice even light to shine from top to bottom. There's more brightness at the bottom where the RGB strip is, and there's just not enough room around the back of here to be able to fit any more RGB lighting in there due to the water cooling and the power supply and so on. So I've got a solution to that, which I'll show you when I've got the lights on, which I'll do now. So for this bottom panel, I have been given by my good friends at EL Wirecraft larger inverter for the controlling of a very large EL panel, which I'll be able to cut to size and place behind the logos on the bottom, and that'll be 100% even like them. And with this particular panel, as you can see, it's got 4 connections on each corner. Well, 1 connection on each 4 corners. So you just pick the corner that you want to use, and then you can either cut the others off, or if you just wanted to use this section of it, for instance, you can cut around there, and you've got a panel there. You can cut that bit off, you've got another one there, and so on. As long as you've got a clean connection going into the tape, you can cut anywhere else you want in here, and the part that's not been cut off and disconnected from the wire will still light up. So the internal ones, what people have been asking about, these are, let me just find one. These are the EL strip wires, similar to what I used for the internal. As you can see, this one's a bit wider because this one's actually for the Coolermaster MasterCase Pro L RGB keyboard from Coolermaster, which they've kindly sent me to go along with this PC mod, and I'm going to tronify this as well. So this is just the right thickness to go all the way around the front and the side of the keyboard. And then I have also got some more of the EL wire, which is going to go around the outer edges of the keyboard also. I'll show you a bit more about that in a second. So like I said, anyway, this tape, these particular ones from EL Wirecraft, who I'll put a link in the description for, all the ones I've had so far, they've all had a connection on both ends of the tape, which is very useful because a lot of the times with the tape you might not actually need the full length that you're given, so you'll cut off the bit you need. So for instance, the one going around the sound card there, I've cut that one off and then I've stuck that on, but it doesn't mean that I've wasted all this bit like you can do with some of the other tapes which don't have a connection on each end. So I could take the bit I've cut off and then use that for the cover that I've done for the graphics card wiring and so on. So internally there'll be 1, 2, 3, 2 strips used on the inside, cut into 2 pieces, so 4 altogether, which obviously saves a little bit of money, so you don't have to buy quite so many. Obviously you're going to try and get the exact size you want, but in my case, if you can work it out exactly what you need and try to distribute it between a large roll, then you'll probably save a bit of money by doing it that way as well. The same with the big panels. If you're planning to cut your own little shapes, maybe a couple of them, then you're probably better getting a larger panel and cutting it down into the single parts that you need. So as I said, this is a large inverter. This is for the big panel. So in this case so far it's just got the smaller inverters, which I'll show you in a second. So this basically has the 12 volt plus and minus there, which is crocodile clipped, so that'll be easy to connect up to 12 volt inside. And then we've got the speed, the brightness, you've got a flashing control and normal on there. It's also got the little mounting brackets there. I should imagine I'll probably just hot melt glue this on inside, because it might be doing a bit of travelling, so a little bit more secure, but I really don't want to be doing any more drilling inside case now it's all been built together, so more than likely glued in place, that one. The EL wires, which are inside this case along with the EL tape, they're using similar inverters to this black one that's here, but probably 4 times bigger. They should be on the build log anyway, which I'll also put a link to in the description. But these particular inverters have got the USB adapter on it, so this is going to be really good for the keyboard, and also this Coolermaster Master Pulse headset, which I'm also going to run the Tron wire around. And then with this USB inverter, I'll be able to run that down the same wire as the headphone USB, and then I've just got 2 USBs on the end then to connect to a computer, and they'll both come on together then. The same goes for the keyboard. I'll be using one of these for the keyboard as well. There's the larger inverter. So this is the size ones that I'm using inside here. I've got 2 of these. One controls all the EL wire and one controls all the tape, but this one's obviously a USB one, whereas the ones that's inside there are 12 volt straight onto the power supply connections. Then they've also sent me a couple of extensions here, a couple of splitters. That's mainly for the keyboard, because I'll be running the wire and the tape off of that. Coolermaster also sent this, which is the Master Mouse S. I'm not going to mod this in any way whatsoever. This already lights up with full RGB, so I'll just get it to match up to the same colours, but because obviously you're going to be handling the mouse a lot, you don't want any EL stuff on there that might easily come off over time. So side at keyboard, like I say, that's okay, because you're not going to be handling that much. Headset, I'm going to have to play about with that and get it in the right place where it's not going to be getting knocked about too much when you're putting headphones on and off. But for now, I'll just pause the video a second and I will take the side off the case and we'll have a closer look at the inside. Actually, before I take the side off, I'll just quickly show you the back. So on the back of the case, I've got the RGB remote, and I've also got the key for the side panel, the toughened glass on the side there. Now with these particular bits, which I don't think I showed in the build logs, I've attached magnets to the key and the remote, so you can just stick these anywhere to the back of the case and you've always got them around, then you're not going to lose them. Same for a key, you can just stick it to any part of the case that's got metal on it. And then on the back here, behind here is the connections for all the EL wire. So when you want to take the side panels off either side, you've got to unscrew the 2 little screws here at the top. and then this little cover comes off here, and then behind there you've got all the wiring connections for the side panels. So this particular side here is this one. So if I pull that off, I've got my wire there now free, and I can take the side off without having to take the wire off. Obviously that would be too much hard work, so this was the best way I could think of to get it on and off easily. Probably needs a little bit more stronger glue at the top here. Speaking of glue as well, a few people asked how I've glued these on. So in different parts of the case I've had to use different glues. On the plastic to plastic parts, which is mainly the top and the front, I've mainly used super glue. On the high stress points, which is the bends and tucks and stuff, on mainly the parts that you can't see the inside, it's hot glue. And then for parts where the wires glued onto the glass and metal, those have been a lot more difficult. So there's been a mixture of hot glue, and there's also been some contact adhesive for the glass, because hot glue and plastic just don't stick together on this particular case. So yeah, that was the best option, contact adhesive. So I'll take the side off now anyway and quickly have a look around on the inside. Okay, so on the inside, the lighting that you can see, which is around the DDR, the side of the motherboard, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but also around the PCI slots on the inside there, that's part of the GIGABYTE motherboard, and they're RGB controlled as well, so you can change up whatever colour theme you've got using that. The water cooling, obviously in here at the moment, it did start off as a dark blue. Then I thought it was just a bit too much, so I changed it to white, and the white blended in just a bit too much, so I added a bit more blue. So it's a bit of a very pale pastel blue at the minute. I don't know if I might add just a little bit more blue to that later on, but for the time being anyway, we'll just leave it as it is. The power supply is plugged into the motherboard behind here, which is a little perspex box that I made, and then that's covered with white vinyl wrap. The backing plate as well behind the reservoir, that's also plastic, and the bottom cover, they're both white plastic. And then we've got white perspex on the bottom, and pretty much all of the internal parts I've painted white. I've left the motherboard alone, so that's got a bit of black in there, but pretty much everything else is white, including the SSD and the bottom of the pump here. The pump itself's also got EL tape on it, along with top and bottom of the reservoir. So I'm going to do. A few people have asked how I did the cover for the graphics card cabling. So I'll quickly grab a piece of the trunking that I used for that and just explain how you go about doing that. Okay, so this is the trunking that I used. Some of you might be familiar with it already. This is normally used in offices and places like that to put up against skirting boards and walls and stuff. They run the cables down it for telephone lines and so on, and then it has a plastic cover that goes over the front there. You can get this in different sizes. I'm not 100% sure what size this one is. I think it's 1.5 inch wide, but it's the perfect size, give or take a millimetre, for the Coolermaster power supply cable, PCI cable that's going into the graphics card. Just some small adjustments needed making into it to be able to bend it over at 45 degree, and also some of the inside tracking needed to be taken off in order for the plug to be able to fit in the actual graphics card up at the top here. But all the rest of it pretty much fit in perfect with not much needing doing to it. So that's a quick and easy way to cover up your cabling. A lot of the time people aren't going to want to cover the cables up because they do they do look really good in some builds, but because this is a Tron themed build, I were adamant that I wanted to make sure there were no real visible wires. I'll spin it around now and just quickly show you the front and the other side. Before I do that, I'll turn the light on actually, just to give you a bit better look inside. I also wanted to quickly show you the difference having the side panel on makes, because the side panel is a bit tinted. It's got like a greyish tint to it, so as you can see, as I move it in front of the case, you can see it colour changing. So I haven't got my other side panel here, but obviously the case is as standard, which this is a MasterCase 5. They come with the clear side panel as standard, I think, or you can just get a solid panel, but normally this is like an extra unless you get the really high-end one. So you can have it 100% clear if you wanted to, but like I say, I went for the glass for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was something new, but also when all the lighting is switched off, like so, and obviously the motherboard lighting need turning off as well, which I need to do with when computer's connected up to the monitor. You basically can't see inside. This turns like a mirror black like the paintwork, so it were a good option for this particular build to use this tinted glass. Okay, so looking at the front, we've got the ear wire going around again. We've got the little Tron, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. We've got the Tron logo inside there, bit of writing, stuck onto the bit behind it that's lighting up. That's the EL tape I was talking about earlier on, which were cut to size and then slotted into place. And then we've obviously got the control panel here, which has got the power, the lighting switch if you add the lighting, because that's an option as well. With this you can get some coloured strips, put them inside. It's got the C-type USB 3, full size USB 3, two 2.0 USBs, and then it's got the fan speed control there, the headphone and the microphone. And then the front panel, like all the rest of the case, this was originally like a dark grey colour, and I've sanded all that down, undercoated it, put the primer on, put the base coat on, which were black, sanded in between all the coats, and then once the black were done, sanded that down to a really smooth finish, went over it with some 600 again, and then went over it with some clear lacquer, and then again loads of sanding, loads of polishing to get it a perfect mirror finish on here, again to go with the Tron theme. So the paintwork was most definitely probably the hardest part of this build, and the amount of time I spent trying to get the RGB lighting in a good position at bottom, that took a bit of doing as well. Anyway, the front panel, similar to the side, it's been designed and put together so I can still remove the front as and when I need to. I can get inside here, clean the fans, get to the drive bays. The top drive bays here have the two switches which control the lighting for the front and the inside. And then down at the bottom here, I've obviously cut out a hole here. This is normally all solid. The case normally sucks air from the top and the bottom into the front of the case if you've got the fans in the front. And then behind here, this is a EL panel here, which I've cut and painted to make look like a Tron disc. And this part here is just for decoration really. This is painted the same to match up to a case. And then behind there you've got the Tron design paintwork that I did along with a Coolermaster badge behind here, which used to be on the front of the case here before I made the hole in it. So again, this bit here, similar to the key and the remote control for the RGB, this is just stuck on there with magnets, so you can just slap it on. Round on the other side. This case is very heavy. So around on this side, I'll just get a better angle. I'm trying my best to try to do this video without having to edit it. So if it's a bit shoddy, please excuse me. But I'm just a bit short on time recently. So same as the rest of the case. This side panel was grey, so I painted it all black, done the same as what I said earlier. Then instead of going over it with gloss, once I'd done the 600 paper, I went ahead and did the airbrush work on here. And then in between each colour of airbrush work, just a little tip for anybody who's wanting to try airbrushing, in between each colour, once you're 100% happy with the colour that you've got and that it's in the right place and whatever, you can clear lacquer over that just to protect it. And then when you do your second colours, if anything goes wrong, you can wipe it off if you're going to use a water-based paint like I did for the colours. These are water-based colours, so you can wipe it off if you have any problems and re-go over it and so on, and keep building it up. So there's probably about 3 coats of lacquer in between the colour stages of the Tron logo here. And then obviously once I've done the final colour, which in this particular case it will probably going over the white one final time to make it a proper bright, a full clear coat all over the case, let it dry out, sand it down, do it again and again and again until you've got it to the right thickness. It normally takes about 3 coats, to be honest. You're better just doing a couple rather than blathering on one big thick one, because then it's all going to start running and causing problems. I don't know what my next video will be. My next video will probably be the keyboard and the headset finished along outside the case, so you can see how they look together. But I think that's pretty much it for now. Like I say, if there's anything you need to know that I haven't covered, just drop a comment below or message me on Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep updated. Thanks for watching.